Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1603. The topic is nutrition and the title is Managing Workout Energy on a Ketogenic Diet. Okay. So in our gym, you've heard past couple podcasts here. In 2023, we started doing a member Q&A board, and the members seem to like it because they keep writing up questions. So I'm just pulling these questions from the members board. They write on the index card what questions they have. I answer them for them, and then we just indicate which podcast the answer is in. People seem to be liking it, so they keep writing up cards. I'll try to keep answering them. And then if you're a listener and not a member of our gym, remember you can always just email me at brutalirongym@gmail.com. Any question you want, and I will answer it. I answer all questions from the podcast within 14 days. So within 2 weeks, I will get you an answer. Some answers don't kind of merit a podcast. I just send people back like information, or I'll hear their story and say, hey, why don't you just try this from a past podcast? So even if you're uncertain if what you want to send would make a good podcast, send it anyhow. I love helping people. I'm very blessed that the gym is in a place that I have kind of the time and the avenue here, way in which to reach out to people and connect with people. I really genuinely love it. And it's been awesome. Like I have clients right now in 7 countries. And it's just super, super fun to have a feeling that you're getting to help more people. So when you send any question in, any comment or anything, it just makes me feel better. So thank you. It's not a burden in any way. Thank you very much for sending the emails and reaching out. So this person, what they wrote was keto for weight loss. How to adjust carb intake for lifting. So I'm interpreting a little bit because I'm not exactly sure what that question means. And the reason why I'm kind of a little uncertain is a keto diet, a ketogenic diet, is a diet in which you pretty much aim to eat no carbohydrates and you're trying to run off ketones as energy rather than glucose. So they actually make like urinalysis sticks that you pee on to see if you're excreting ketones versus glucose. There's all this like nuances to it. So I've done it because I wanted to know what it was like, and I've done it, but I don't like ketogenic diets myself, and they're not optimal for performance. Do they work well for fat loss? Absolutely. There's a lot of diets that seem a little bit nuts, but they have caloric control. Some of them have adequate enough protein so your body composition actually looks decent while you lose body weight, meaning you're holding on to some muscle tissue. But a lot of diets have enough parameters that they'll make progress, even if they're not like the best diet in regards to how you will feel or how you'll perform or what your actual goals are, but they do make your weight go down. Ketogenic diets do make your weight go down. They might not do a lot of other beneficial things for you, but, they'll make your weight go down. So, since a ketogenic diet is traditionally no carbohydrates, the question of how to adjust carb intake for lifting is an odd question because if you're on a keto diet, you shouldn't be eating carbohydrates. Now, this person probably knows that, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what does the question mean is how to adjust carb intake for lifting? So, does that mean if I'm going to eat carbs, how would I eat them? Or what would I do instead of eating carbohydrates to fuel my workouts? So I'm going to answer both of those because I'm not sure which one it is, so you get both. But if we're looking at somebody who wants to do a ketogenic diet, and they're, for the most part, other than related to around workouts, they're trying to eat minimal, if any, carbohydrates. But they know from our podcast, I've talked about how it's just true that carbohydrates will give you the better energy for training and performance overall. We actually just talked about that in yesterday's podcast, 1602, and it was the role of lactate in exercise. And we talked about how having carbohydrates, which led to glucose, which led to pyruvate molecules, how that can help buffer buildup of muscle pain and fatigue in training, so you can actually train to higher volume content when you have carbohydrates in your diet. So we've talked about it a little bit. So if you're you're uncertain as to what the heck I just said, listen to yesterday's podcast, and that'll help make more sense of it. But the idea of using carbohydrates around workout time is great. It will absolutely help you perform better, feel better during your workouts. And then at the other times of the day, you can eat minimal to no carbohydrates. So you can do a modified version of a ketogenic diet. A traditional ketogenic diet, if you're looking at like the strictest way of like thinking of it, is no carbohydrates ever for any reason ever. So one way you can do it is just to add carbohydrates, but do it around workout times, and then at the other times of the day, try not to do it. That's kind of a blend of getting the ketogenic diet for leanness control or body fat loss while still getting properly fueled and better fueled workouts. A couple ways you can do that is you have to do a little bit of experimentation, try some things, see what works best for you. One way that some of my clients do it is they'll use a carb powder. There's a lot of supplements out there that are variations of like dextrose and whatnot. There's so much. Vitargo is so look up carb powder and that'll help. Okay. And then also so look up carb powders, and there are supplements you can take where it's basically a carbohydrate powder that's a very fast digesting carbohydrate. A simple version, and a very cheap version, is just a Gatorade powder. That can be used. There are more complex variations of the carbohydrates as to which ones have like more staying power and whatnot. But there's carbohydrate powder you can use. And you can drink that right before the workout, or as you start your workout, you kind of sip on it through the first half of the workout, and that'll give you some energy in that moment. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to have actual solid foods where people will have more simple carbohydrates, maybe some fruit, a banana, something like that. Or they'll have complex carbohydrates maybe an hour or two before the workout. They'll maybe have like a meal of like oatmeal or like, a couple bagels. So bagel and eggs. Bagel, eggs, and oatmeal, and a banana. There you go. Throw it all together. But they'll have something like that at like an hour or two before the training, and then that gives that enough time to break down and be spread out into your bloodstream and, get where it needs to get to. So that's one way to manage workout energy if you're on a ketogenic diet, is to use carbohydrates, but only use them before workouts. If you're using a very fast digesting carbohydrate powder or sugar, you can actually consume that as you work out. If you're using solid foods, then you have to probably do that maybe 30 to 90 minutes beforehand. 30 minutes would be as if you aren't adding, if you're using more of a simple carbohydrate like a fruit or something, and you're not adding a lot of protein or a complex protein or any kind of fats to that, you can have it closer. If that meal has more complex carbohydrates, a bunch of protein, and or has some fats in it, you have to have that further away so that you give it enough time to break down and digest and be in your bloodstream. So that's one way, is I'm on a ketogenic diet, but I believe carbohydrates will help me. So how do I do that? There's your answer. You just have them right before the workout or a little bit before the workout. Now, what happens if you want to stay on a ketogenic diet? No carbs. You don't want carbs, but you're like, I'm crashing and dying and I have no energy in my workouts. Typically, it means you're probably trying to work out fasted, which is not going to work well. So fasted workout means that you're training without eating. That is horrible. It's not going to lead to best performance. You're just going to build up a bunch of cortisol. You're going to feel like crap, and it's not going to be the best way to approach long-term success. We have podcast number 614, which is a nutrition podcast titled The Effects of Caffeine-Fueled Fasted Workouts, and that will tell you why you're going to feel like that's either a hit or miss. If I don't eat anything, I chug down an energy drink, sometimes I'm going to crush my workout, and sometimes I'll feel crushed by my workout. So 614, that podcast, you can find on our website, www.burleighrgym.com. It will tell you why that's not a good long-term approach, so you can read more about that, or hear more about that. So I would eat something before you work out. Since you're going to be relying on fats, you got to eat it further out from the workouts, maybe an hour or two ahead of the workout. And that will give it some time to kind of break down and be in your bloodstream. Now, if you work out super early in the morning, you're like, I'm not going to get up and then have a meal for and then sit around for 2 hours. Or you're in a circumstance where you're busy right up to the edge of the workout or something like that. You can use what's called MCT oil. It's medium chain triglyceride oils. It'll just digest quicker than a traditional fat. It actually kind of digests almost like a carbohydrate in terms of speed, but it's still a triglyceride. So it's still like a fat-based food item, so to speak. So MCT oils you can use closer to workouts. Be careful about the amount. It can make you run to the restroom. So you want to start with like maybe a tablespoon, and see how that goes, and then build up from there. But MCT oil is a way in which you can get a fat-based energy source and have it digest as quick as a fat-based energy source is going to. So if you need energy now and then work out, you can do some MCT oil with some, like protein powder. I'm not telling you that's going to taste that great, but mix it with like sugar-free almond milk or whatever you want that doesn't have sugars in it. But MCT oil, a little bit of like protein, like a whey protein. You don't want casein protein, you want whey protein. And whey protein, a little bit of MCT oil, and that will give you at least a little bit of something in your body, in your bloodstream, so that way your body's not working out at a totally fasted state. So, MCT oils can help. If you're going to do actual food, eat it about an hour or two before the workout. And then also, I would use caffeine. I'm not opposed to caffeine. Caffeine's one of the most amazing drugs on the planet. But if you use caffeine all of the time, and then all of a sudden you have caffeine before your workout, it's probably not going to do much for you. You're probably going to be able to drink that caffeine drink and fall asleep. So if I'm going to rely on caffeine to give me a boost of energy because I can't have carbohydrates, I have to be careful about the amount of caffeine I have at any other time of the day. So it's like if you're having caffeine all the time and then you have it right before the workout, what's the difference? But if you limit and severely reduce your caffeine use any other time of the day, like maybe only 1 cup of coffee in the morning, maybe 2, because I know that that's going to help some people, but try not to have any other caffeine at any other time. And then when you have a caffeine drink right before your training, it's going to feel like it gives you a little bit of a boost. You can also look at pre-workouts. There are energy-based pre-workouts. There are focus-based pre-workouts. So a pre-workout supplement or just a caffeine drink can be something that gives you like a false sense of energy. It gives you the energy to move. And then MCT oils with some whey protein can actually give you the nutritional support if you want to move. So these should be like ways in which to give everybody energy. So if you want to stay at a purely ketogenic state, then use caffeine, use pre-workouts, but put some MCT oil and whey protein in your face before the workouts. That way you have a little bit of something going on and you don't have all the negative effects of being totally fasted. And that's going to help with your energy and kind of sustainability of energy throughout the entire workout. So that's for people if they just want to stay on ketogenic. If you want to be on a keto diet, but you still want to use a little bit of carbs, then use them before workouts. And again, carb powder you can use intra-workout or right before the workout. If you do solid food carbs, have that somewhere between, a half hour to an hour and a half, ish ahead of the workout. Give it enough time to get broken down into your bloodstream. If you're a competitive athlete and performance is really important to you, I would suggest doing the first approach. Use some carbohydrates. It's going to allow you to have a better quality of training, and therefore you're going to get a better quality of stimulus from the training, and you're going to get bigger adaptations from your training. If you're really just wanting to push fat loss and you're training just to help you lose fat, you don't really, you're not competitive, then staying with the purely ketogenic approach is okay. That's fine. But it just kind of depends on what works for you. So these are a couple options you can try. See how they feel. Manipulate them up and down a little bit. See what you think. And then if you have any follow-up questions, remember you can always reach out. So our email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Always happy to help. Okay. Well, if you want any nutrition coaching, I do nutrition coaching, just $100 a month if you just want one-on-one nutrition only. And then we do $200 a month for nutrition and training, where I'll actually write your training and nutrition programs. And both of those styles of one-on-one coaching, you get weekly communication, ask anything you want, and I'll answer it specifically for you. Then we have our live monthly programming service as well, where you get brand new programs every 4 weeks, and you get unlimited Q&A, so you still get some one-on-one type attention, but that's a lot cheaper because it's a program based on a goal, not based on a person. So it's just, okay, if you want to do powerlifting, here's your program. If you want to do bodybuilding, here's your program. If you want female shape development, here's your program. And then you use the Q&A opportunities to ask any personalization type questions. That's only $50 a month. All the services are no contract. So there's just a lot of ways, if you want help, that you can get the help. But if you want to do it for free, then there's all the information you needed in the podcast. Good luck, try it. And then remember, you can always reach out and ask me questions, and I'll make you another podcast all for free. So you can get everything you need for free, or you can pay me some money and I'll help just make it a little bit easier. So I want to be able to offer both options because I think they both have benefits for people. Okay. Well, if you need anything, let me know. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything, just email me at brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people we can help. When you share it, let people know that we answer questions for free, so that way they know they can do that. They can get that help through the podcast as like a service for them, like a free educational service. And then thank you to those who donate to support the podcast, so we can actually offer this for people. If you want to donate, you can do so on our website at www.brutalirongym.com. Even just $5 a month, or like a one-time donation of anything, it all helps go towards the hosting cost. There's a high hosting cost every year to keep this thing up and running and on all the platforms and stuff. So I appreciate the donations as they go towards some of that cost. So thank you very, very much. It is genuinely appreciated. And then if you like the information we share in our podcast, we do share other information on our social media channels. Check us out on Instagram. Find us and follow us for there. Definitely find us and follow us there. I post every day. And then you also can find us and follow us on YouTube, all under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.